Hi again. Walter Rauschenbusch, Christianity in the Social Crisis, the last chapter, What to Do. This is page 364 of that book. In passing judgment on a preacher's work by that canon, we shall have to remember, however, that religion and public questions have so long been divorced that it requires a strong and independent religious nature to carry the religious spirit freely into the discussion of public questions. If a man can make his hearers feel that they are in the presence of God when he discusses the condition of the working girls or the drift of the city administration, he gives proof of unusual qualities. It was evidence of religious genius when Jeremiah carried religion out of national life and into the experiences of the suffering individual soul. Today, it is evidence of spontaneous religious power if a man can carry religion from private experience into national life. His hearers, too, are likely to mistake their own customs for the whole range of religion, because they have not been accustomed to hear such questions discussed in the pulpit. They feel that the preacher is dragging in alien and non-religious matters. When the evangelical movement swept over the Church of England and ministers once more preached personal repentance and conversion, Lord Melbourne is said to have risen from his pew and stalked down the aisle, angrily exclaiming, "Things have come to a pretty pass when religion is made to invade the sphere of private life." At any rate, social questions cannot be more non-religious than many of the things about which ministers have to talk in the pulpit. If it is religious to advocate rebuilding a church, why is it non-religious to advocate tearing down and rebuilding slum districts? If it is religious to encourage the church to recarpet the aisles and cushion the seats for the feet and backs of the worshippers, why is it non-religious to speak of playgrounds for young feet and old age pensions for aged backs? Social preaching has come under suspicion because experience has shown that when a preacher begins to speak on social questions, he is apt to veer away from the established course and fly off on a tangent. The new ideas take such hold on him that all other Christian truth seems stale and outworn in comparison. His preaching becomes one-sided. He twangs on a harp of a single string, and it becomes a weariness. If he encounters coldness, he may shake the dust of the church from his feet in witness that it has once more cast out its prophets. Such cases are held up as proof that social questions are forbidden ground. They are indeed profoundly pathetic. These men are the explorers who travel along the unblazed trails where in coming days the highways of the church will run, and explorers are apt to leave their graves as waymarks for those who come after. It is easy enough to march steadily on a beaten road and in the rank and file of a regiment. If these social preachers were not so alone, they would not go astray as they do. If they found many other ministers thinking the same thoughts, they could exchange and correct their ideas, and the future would not seem so dark. Thus the guilt for their aberrations rests in part on all of us who have shirked our duty and lagged behind. It may be that some of these men are naturally unstable and self-confident, but that is the stuff of which pioneers are usually made. Our Western pioneers were the venturesome pick. The solid people stayed at home. Abraham, who was the father of all men of faith, was also the father of pioneers, striking off into the unknown at the call of an inner voice, and perhaps some of his friends in Haran hinted that he was a rolling stone and lacked common sense. It may be that God will find more virtue in the impetuous faults of these pioneers of social Christianity than in the faultless prudence of their critics. Balance was hardly the distinguishing quality of the Old Testament prophets, and yet they are commonly supposed to have been good for something. It is doubtless true that the interest in the social question is apt to overshadow the other aspects of religion. Absorbed in public questions, such men may forget to appeal to the individual soul for repentance and to comfort those in sorrow. That is a sore defect. The human soul, with its guilt and its longing for holiness and deathless life, is a permanent fact in religion, and no solid social perfection will quench its hunger for the living God. There was no chance for Christianizing public life on the island where Robinson Crusoe lived alone with his parrot and his cats. But when Crusoe began to read his Bible and won through to repentance for his past and faith in God, it was a triumph of religion. I'll put in a link to the impact that folks like the Beechers, including Harriet Beecher Stowe, Abraham Lincoln, and John Greenleaf Whittier had on the impact of the abolition of slavery in America.